welcome to In My Corner. I'm your host, Rasheda Ali. Our guest today is truly a comedy icon. He's been selling out Las Vegas showrooms for nearly a quarter of a century. He made Comedy Central's list of the 100 greatest stand-ups of all time. He won 2 Emmys, 3 Humanitas Awards, and a Genesis Award. Please welcome whom I consider to be a comedian's comedian, the incredibly hilarious and talented Mr. Louie Anderson.
Hi, thank you very much.
Thanks for coming today. Thank you.
Nice to be here.
I went to your show last night.
Yeah, that was very nice of you to come.
I was loud and obnoxious.
You were great.
I love
loud and obnoxious.
You love loud and obnoxious. Guess because you're loud and obnoxious.
Well, you know, at times.
Listen, you did a show with my dad.
I did.
Was it the Don King show in Hollywood?
It was a pilot for the Don King talk show.
So what did you do?
I came out and did stand-up comedy, but I only did the show. Well, Don King, of course, is such a character.
Oh, yes.
But I did the show because your dad was going to be the first guest.
Okay.
So I said, well, I'm going to go because that would be fun. And your dad, you know, he was such a great, humble human being and still is.
Yes,
He's such a great man. And, you know, like last night at the show, I mentioned that you were here.
Thank you.
And the respect that still, you know, I was thinking about him today. I was talking to someone about your dad.
Thank you.
He's the greatest American sports icon.
Yes, he is.
I think there is, especially living, and people love him. And
Yes,
I'm glad to do your show. But it was fun last night. We had fun.
Well, you know, when I think about my dad, and a lot of people love him, obviously, because he came on the scene as Cassius Clay, a loud, obnoxious guy from Louisville, Kentucky. But he transcended boxing, didn't he? He started off as a boxer, and then he kind of paved his way to do other things. He became a civil rights activist.
Yeah, he used it to the best advantage he could.
Yes, he did. He was a self-promoter even before they had...
Still uses his fame to do good for people.
And you do, too.
Well, I try to.
You are an incredible spokesperson, I guess you could say. You help a lot of people out. I saw you at the Best in Show.
That was fun.
Charity. That was a lot of fun.
You know, it's really...
But you give back.
Well, you know, the great thing is you have all these animals who are rescued, and they need homes, and it was a great turnout, and, you know, you want to take at least 5 or 6 dogs home with you, but you don't, because that's what happens with animals.
Yes.
People don't realize it. You know, it's a big responsibility.
That's true.
It's second to, you know, another human being, and in most people's lives, it's equal to a human being.
That's correct.
You know, they consider their pet part of their family.
They sure do.
So with these dogs were so loving, and it was so much fun, and the people there supported it. I really care about that.
I met you first at that show.
Yeah.
And you're just a cute little teddy bear. You're so sweet. And
Little?
You're so, no, you are. But you know,
I might call my show Littler Than Life.
Change the show.
Littler. Well,
actually, you're adorable.
You're very sweet.
When you picked out a dog that you think would be easy to walk out with, I think Abby was the name of the dog. I think he or is it she?
She, I think she was a she.
She fell in love with you.
Well, she did, but you know, she was right over, and she was sitting up like this, but people loved her, and my objective was reached. We raised a lot of money.
Congratulations.
You know, I'll do it again anytime. I love that organization.
It's a great organization.
You know, non-kill, and you know, they really care about taking care of these animals.
Well, you wear many hats. We talked about my dad who transcended boxing, and now he became a human rights activist, and now he's a humanitarian. He did a lot of other things to try to help literacy. He helps children who are obese. He does a lot of things. You yourself has done a lot of remarkable things yourself as an author, a producer, a writer, a humanitarian, and you also founded HERO for the homeless, HERO. Tell me about that.
Homeless Empowerment Relationship Organization. And
that's nice.
You know, like my brother Billy was paranoid schizophrenic, so he at times would be homeless because when mental illness is involved, and especially with that disease, you think you quit taking your medicine because you're paranoid that people are trying to hurt you.
Of course.
So he was homeless himself, and so I always try to really think about that, and I think about the idea that I hope people were nice to him, and I think they were, and that's why I always try to be nice to people. But what I set up was something a little different. Me and my manager's sister in Flint, Michigan, we did it. And it was an organization where people would mentor So 90 minutes a week you would spend with a person who happened to be homeless.
Oh, that's
Because
nice.
when you're homeless, you don't have anyone to interact with that can give you some perspective.
Right.
And we tried to get people off the streets, into shelters, and then the next phase, jobs, training, and into their own places. Because there's how people become homeless. You lose your job, right?
Sure.
So you run out of money, you lose your apartment.
It happens to the best of
You
us.
move into your car, you run out of money, you sell your car, you're homeless. It's not like is what people think.
Right.
It's not you're embarrassed, you can't ask friends to stay. How long can you stay with friends?
Of course.
You know, people have a lot of pride, and then what happens is you lose contact with people out of shame and embarrassment and things like that. And so the connection, the human connection, you know, as a society, we're only as strong as our weakest link. So if we don't take care of this particular problem, we'll all suffer from it. And it's a very difficult one because, you know, you think people will say to me, well, what about the people you give them money that are homeless and begging for money and they buy drugs or alcohol?
Right.
And I go, I give them money because one of those people, 1%, even if it's 1%, might be buying food for their homeless family
Right.
and their kids.
Yeah.
I'm not there to make the judgment.
Of
I'm there to
course.
be a giving person. And the money you give is insignificant, won't change their life,
Of course.
but might alleviate some of the pain they're in.
That's true. Well, you're my hero for doing
No.
that. So thank you. That's very kind
My
of you to
pleasure.
do that. That's very nice of you.
It's the least I can do.
And you're such a big name, and for you to use your name toward good causes like that, I think that's really what makes a difference, and that's really what changes the world. So
Isn't
thank
that
you.
funny that
It
somebody
is.
would care what I thought about stuff? I mean, you know, a comedian, I mean, I always am amazed by that.
Yeah.
I think it's a great thing. It's a big responsibility on some
It
level,
sure
but,
is.
you know, on another one, I'm just a human being, and I could become homeless. It could happen to
I
anybody.
say it happens to the best
It
of us.
could happen to
It
anybody.
sure can. Well, you are one of 11.
One of 11.
Ouch.
Yeah.
And
My mom was a saint.
I see.
Yeah.
And she was probably pregnant her whole life.
She was, because she actually had 16 children. 5 of them, unfortunately, were, you know, miscarried. And
I'm sorry.
So, yeah, it was hard for her, I'm sure.
Of course. And
But
you-
to have 16 years of being pregnant.
Wow.
My dad was very fertile, and so was my mom. I think there was, I don't know, people say, well, you're Catholic, and I go, no, my dad was a musician.
he was a
He
musician.
had no rhythm, obviously.
And obviously, as a comedian, did you have to fight for your parents' attention with 10 other siblings
Well,
there?
you know, when you grow up in a family of 11, there's 3 groups that grow up. The older group, the middle group, and the younger group. And I'm in the younger group.
Yes.
So I think I was going to be their last kid because they named me after my dad, and they hadn't named anybody Louie yet. And so I think that my parents, when you have older parents,
Sure.
it's a whole different world because they're kind of tired.
Of course.
You know, when you're number 10, they're thinking, who is that?
Well, they probably let you get away with a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I was, well, you know, I was kind of one of their favorites because
Because you were funny.
I think it was because I was funny.
And your dad's funny.
My dad was very funny.
And your mom's even funny.
My mom was funny. You know, my dad was the kind of guy who loved to buy a car. You know, we were very poor. He'd buy a car for $50. And then he would put $1,000 into it, fixing it up. And then, just so he could say to people, what do you think I paid for this? And they would go, what, 1,000? And he'd go, $50.
and he would be
Because
so proud.
there was something big for him in that.
Yeah.
He loved the idea that he could fix things. My grandfather was an inventor, and my dad was very good. Like, he could fix a car with a piece of wire. We used to go, he just got a piece of wire and he fixed the car. And we would come in and we'd go,
How did you do that?
he fixed the car, you know?
Wow.
And we had nowhere to go because we had no money, but he fixed the car.